Yeah, Cormac, Chairman, and Paul or Mr. Reid, at the outset, I don't think anybody here would, well, I sincerely, from my own perspective anyway, would question your determination to implement Sláintecare, because ultimately the HSE is an agent of government, and you know, ye do essentially ye implement government policy, but where the real concern is with the Department of Health, and you know, I think, Mr. Watt, that your performance here this morning and what you've said here this morning and your answers to the questions, certainly regarding the email, is very, very concerning, because clearly your understanding of Sláintecare is somewhat at variance with the understanding of Sláintecare that a lot of people here have. And what my worry is, what is the Minister's understanding of Sláintecare? Because if that is your understanding of Sláintecare, what's the Minister's understanding of Sláintecare? And that would worry me greatly, because the regionalisation and the structures is a key component of Sláintecare. And we are 5 years into what was initially envisaged as a 10-year reform programme. Absolutely, we've had a pandemic. So I think any reasonable person would say that you're talking about an extra 2 or 3 years on top of that. But I am greatly alarmed by your answers to the questions, but even more so the combative nature of your answers to the questions as well. So I think that we're going to have to reflect on that, because I am very concerned now that you don't understand Sláintecare in the same way that we understand Sláintecare. And while all that's going on, while all this is going on, there are 96 people on trolleys down in the UHL hospital in Limerick at the moment. They are the figures as of today. There has been the bones of 100 million of government money invested into the UL hospital in Limerick. We're talking about 20 million on a unit, a modular unit, another something like 40 million for a state-of-the-art A&E. You know, I'm just wondering what's gone wrong in Limerick, and maybe, Mr. Reid, you might be able to shed some light on this. Is there any peer review performances compared to other A&Es? How come Limerick A&E constantly is at the top of the scale when it comes to people and trolleys, in spite of tens of millions of euros of government money spent over the last 7 or 8 years to try and alleviate the problem? We're still in a situation that nearly 100 people today are on trolleys. Is there a problem with the management down there? Do you have concerns with the management of UHL that we are in this situation today where 96 people are on trolleys?
Thanks, Senator. Will I come in and then maybe Paul will deal with the second part of the question. First of all, just to reassure the Senator and deputies, and to add to what Paul has said, that I'm absolutely fully committed to this reform agenda and implement of Sláintecare. And the reason I was very happy to be asked to do this job, to take on this role, was to deliver the change, because I believe that the Department of Health, and with our colleagues in the HSE and with Minister Donnelly and the government, that we are and will continue to make significant changes to bring about a system which can deliver better for citizens. That's my motivation, and I don't think anybody should be, along with Paul, anybody should be under any illusions that I'm committed, fully committed to delivering this, and feel that we're making progress and will continue.
I suppose it's not necessarily your commitment, Mr. Watt, it's your understanding of Sláintecare. Yeah, do you actually, are you on the same page as Sláintecare, for example, as Deputy Shortall is, and other members of this committee is, and indeed government is? The last 2 governments, and I don't know about this government because I'm not sure. You are clearly the Secretary General of the Department, so you speak in tandem with the Minister. So I'm now very concerned that the Minister hasn't the understanding of Sláintecare that the rest of us has.
No, absolutely. The Minister can speak for himself. Senator, I'm not here to speak for the Minister, but the Minister is absolutely committed to Sláintecare and is behind the reforms and is leading the department and leading the team, myself and Paul, our respective teams, to deliver this, and he's absolutely fully aligned. Of course, as Mirish has said, there are issues in relation to how we implement RHAs, and those issues are being debated now and discussed, and the government will receive a memo setting out our implementation plan, and then we push ahead with that implementation plan. In terms of the combative nature of my answers, Senator, that's a trait You love or hate it. Nothing I can do about it really now. Probably too old to change.
It's not a very endearing trait.
Oh, well, apologies for that, Deputy. You don't like it. That's our Senator. That's can't do anything about that, I'm afraid. If people are going to question my professionalism and my motivation, I'm allowed to defend myself. And if people don't like that, I'm sorry about that.
No, we don't. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, Senator, thanks for your question, and I will pass across to just on Limerick specifically, directly to your question. I think we have a very good management team led by the CEO in UHL, and unfortunately it does come under for a lot of personal, I'm not saying from yourself, but you know, and understandable, but no, I have very strong confidence in the CEO of UHL and our clinical team that are down there. They do have some real challenges in terms of demographics, and you are correct. There's very significant investment put into it, particularly about 100 extra beds and a new A&E, but there are some really demographic pressures under there, and particularly their capacity in terms of where other hospitals, probably on the East Coast, would have a smaller number of hospitals to step down people into. They don't have that similar capacity in Limerick, and it is a challenge for us, and there's no doubt elective hospitals for the future will give regional capacity for them. But I might just ask my colleague
just before you do, Paul, just in terms of yes, the elective hospital is an issue, but is there specifics in the next days and weeks that you can do to try and bring these numbers down and to reduce the numbers of people in trolleys? Is there anything specific or specifics that can be done to deal with that? Because everyone knows the problem, but we need immediate solutions as well as medium and long-term solutions.
Yeah, and I'll pass my colleagues who will relay specifically some of the challenges that we have at the minute, which is largely, and at Limerick is a key factor on it, discharge, particularly discharge of elderly people, where we have 50% of our nursing homes in outbreaks and we can't discharge to them, but we are utilising private nursing home capacity as well for discharge. But I'll ask my colleagues to give some specifics if I can.
Thanks.
And Arlene, please.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. Liam Woods here. So, yeah, I mean, the reported trolleys this morning, Senator, in Limerick is 35, but I think you're also referring to the fact that there is a surge capacity being used in Limerick, which grows that. And, of course, it's a matter of concern to us as it is to the group. The group itself is undertaking a piece of work to look at the key drivers in that, but we know well from Limerick is an extremely busy emergency department in terms of attendances, has remained so right through the pandemic, more really than anywhere else in terms of the volume of attendances. And in the last few weeks has really only been exceeded by the matter in attendances. So it has that challenge at the front door. Things that are happening and that can happen in the short term to assist that. Any delayed transfers of care that can move, and the community has been supporting Dúra Dáil particularly on that. We've been seeking to support that movement so that we would create better flow through the hospital. There are some front door initiatives as well in terms of looking to use more of the Pathfinder, and also use which is a service provided by the ambulance service, and also using Ennis and Nina to the greatest extent possible for step down. And of course, Croom has commenced, has opened its 4 new theatres and is doing really very good work on the access to care side, which we've touched off here.
Do you see any benefit, Liam, in on a temporary basis upgrading the services in Ennis and Nina to try and help with these numbers, even on a short-term temporary basis?
I think Ennis and Nina are doing some very good specific work that would actually be unfortunate to disrupt. And the flow, the key point for us is that patients can flow to Ennis and Nina as needed, and that's happening. And one enabler in that is actually ambulance transport, which we work very closely, obviously, from the group to the National Ambulance Service on. So, but there is already very strong work going on both sides. I don't necessarily see benefit right now, Senator, in extending the reception of emergency patients into Ennis and Nina. But I think the use of them for step down from Dúra Dáil remains very important. Remembering that Dúra Dáil has actually got one of the shortest lengths of stay in the country for its own inpatients, so it is actually showing signs of relative efficiency. But it's hard to get away from how very busy the front door of Dúra Dáil is, and I think there is a capacity challenge. And as you rightly say, there has been significant investment in new capacity, and that has been consumed, and in fact more than consumed, by the rise in attendances over the pandemic and to now. So thank you, Senator.
That's great. Thanks,